What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind the... Something's missing. I don't know what it is. Anyways, behind the bar reviews, this will be My Hero Academia, chapter 266. For those of you who don't know, I do read My Hero Academia. I read Dr. Stone, I read Black Clover, I read that kind of undead one that has about 10 chapters so far in Jump, and I of course follow One Piece. Those are the main ones in that I follow. But I don't review My Hero Academia. I don't review Black Clover. I do spotty reviews once in a while, but this chapter I feel like is something I need to talk about because it's very impactful for one of my favorite characters in the series. I don't think My Hero Academia is the be-all and end-all like some people. I also don't think it's right down here with the trash like other people. I like My Hero Academia for what it's worth. I feel like it has increased. It's done a fantastic job for the last year or so with current arcs that have been ongoing. They have been far better than the initial arcs of My Hero Academia. But yeah, so I was reviewing My Hero Academia on my old channel during the whole Endeavor versus Anomu and Hawks introduced and all that stuff. That's when I first started reviewing it. My old channel got, deleted, blah, blah, blah. And now we're here, and I never picked it back up. But this chapter, twice has probably... I know there are plenty of good backstories, in My Hero Academia. Some are, cookie cutter, but still good. Some are very traumatic, like Shigaraki. Twice's backstory is the best one in My Hero Academia, bar none. He is in another tier. I'm just going to come out and say it. I was emotional too with the whole, of course, the leader of the League of Villains and stuff, and his whole backstory, and the whole, oh no, he crushed a dog and he scratched his face and stuff. I get it. Twice's is far more traumatic. Twice's is a more mature... I don't want to use the word mature. I don't know how to describe it, but something about Twice's backstory. I always liked Twice. I found him to be very much like a Deadpool, of course. A lot of people do. They make that comparison. I hear some people make the comparison to Rorschach from Watchmen for Twice, right? I also got a bit of Spider-Man because of the 90s cartoon, because of the whole showing facial expressions with, a mask with eyes, sort of that idea. It's not really practical, but that's how the kids' cartoon did it. Batman, the animated series, he would narrow his eyes under his cowl. You can't really do that, but they did it, right? And I was very much reminded of those type of cartoons, the X-Men animated series, Spider-Man, Batman, those type of things, when I looked at Twice. Simple design, but he had the ability to move the mask eyes that just made no sense. Very reminiscent of that style. Always was a fan. And when we get his backstory, when we get into how he's come to this point and everything that happened to him, it was one of the most traumatic, it was one of the most, I won't say, I guess, almost relatable in a sense. You could almost always see yourself. It's implied, I don't know if it's outright stated, but it's implied that he already had multiple personality disorder before he established his quirk. I don't think that's exactly confirmed. And once again, I'm not a huge My Hero Academia stan, so this might have been stated or debunked or whatever. But the way I took it was that this guy already had multiple personality disorder and then got the quirk double, or it manifested, right? So he already had this issue. On top of getting a quirk like double was just the worst possible thing to happen to him because of what happened with the clones and the traumatic experience, and they started killing each other. And the emotional chapter, which I had intended to review when he finally found out he was the original, that was a major chapter for me, but I was very busy at the time, so I couldn't make that chapter review. But here with Twice, this chapter follows three of my favorite characters. If we have Dobby, we have Hawks, and we have Twice. But Twice steals the show completely. We all thought this would be a Dobby versus Hawks sort of battle. And it just didn't end up that way, did it? It truly did not. What we got was Hawks realizing this is a terrible matchup, going up against Dobby. Fire versus feathers, it's just not really the best idea. And the ironic thing here is, had Dobby not interfered, what happened might not have happened. Because what we get is him grabbing Twice, getting out of the way of Dobby's first attack. And Hawks questions this. And Dobby says to him, well, heroes always save the day. That's the whole mantle of you people. That's the candle of your existence. You are here to save lives first. That's always your priority number one. And Hawks says, you're the sarcasm dripping out of your voice, but still, it did happen. That's the case. So Hawks saved him because he doesn't actually want to kill Twice, and he was like, okay, don't move, and he's trying to figure out a way to grab Twice and get him out of here because he thinks that Twice is the most dangerous, and I agree, he's probably the most dangerous member of the League of Villains, or the Liberation Army, whatever they're calling themselves these days. And he is one of the most dangerous of the lieutenants, and they need to get him out of the picture. So he's trying to come up with an idea of where he's going to go with them and stuff. Twice, for all his intents and purposes, his muscles are cut, his tendons are cut, his bones. He didn't hit any vital organs, but he's still really messed up, and he rushes forward, and he's just like, yeah, don't, and because Dobby's like, hey man, you could take out all those heroes by yourself, just get down there and help out our friends. Okay, I can do it, because that's always Twice. Twice is basically the friendship trope done on the other side of the fence. That's what he is. He's all about, he is the Natsu of fairy tale, totem friendship every single chance he gets, but on the wrong side, so to speak. And he's not really a bad guy. Yes, they do bad things, but Twice isn't, I would call Twice an antagonist, but to call him villainous, would you ever describe Twice with the same words you would describe, would you call him vile? Would you call him evil? Would you call him, unredeemable? Would you use these words that you would use for terrible people, for awful villains? Would you use any of those same descriptive words to describe Twice? Because I wouldn't. He has found his family, his friends. That's all he wants. And he got over his traumatic experience and all that such. And, with the whole breaking of the arm stuff, realizing he's the original, and now he can use his powers properly again, he rushes forward. He's like, yes, I have to do this. I have to save my friends. Dobby's right. He rushes forward. Hawks circles around, manages to catch him off guard, slices down sort of idea. And here's the worst part of it, is that we get Hawks pausing for a moment because Dobby says his full name, Keigo Takumi or whatever, Takami. And Hawks is paused like, how did he know my real name? He's only paused for a second, but it's long enough. Twice is still trying to get out of there. Hawks is moving extremely fast. It's going to be Dobby versus Hawks next chapter, I'm sure. But after this, we see him trying his best to make clones and stuff, but he can't seem to do it. He can't seem to use double that well because his stamina is gone. He's bleeding out. He's beaten and bloody at this point. It's got to... I would assume it would take some level of mental fortitude to be able to maintain these clones. And right now, he's just having a very difficult time of it. We see the last shot, Hawks staring him down, about to slash down Twice as the building starts to collapse. And then we jump over to Toga and Compress. And they're being attacked by a hero. I forget the hero's name. And it's like some Skyrim level shit. It's like sneak skill up to 100. All right. Backstab damage. Boom. And it's just a knife. Just Twice, a double of twice, takes a knife and fring, done. Backstab times 3 damage. Done, down. He killed even one hero. Dobby had faith in him. Dobby smiled and said, hey, you can go help. You are vital, man. You are great. And it's true. Twice just showed up, not overwhelming people with his quirk, just snuck up behind the dude and shing. And it was great, right? Because he actually still succeeded. He still ended up helping to save his friends. Toga probably being his best friend. Toga being his most important person to him. Some people have touted there's a possible romance there. I don't really see it that way. I just see it as two very disturbed individuals finding comfort and true friendship in each other and accepting all of their quirks, ironically, but all of their disturbance, all of their quirks that makes them, accepting all of them. And I think it's more of a true blue friendship than romance. But if you want to ship them, that's fine. I don't know if the shipping's going to go very far after this chapter, though, because after he does that, Compress is like, yeah, let's go. Toga's like, yeah, let's go. Twice is standing there, and he's shaking. He's just like, sorry, guys. I can't really, it's taking everything I have, and of course the comedy element here, it's like, it's taking everything I have to keep this form together as it is. It's kind of like keeping in a huge dump, like a huge shit, and you know it's coming, and you're just trying to hold it in just for a little longer, and I just can't do it. I can't maintain this form any longer. I can barely move. And then he looks at Toga's face and sees it's a little scarred up, and he's like, oh, well, someone hit your pretty face again? Oh, here, let me get that for you. And it just starts to turn to mud, like it always does. His sludgy mud dissolve thing that his clones always do when they start to break down, when they take significant damage. And he goes on this speech. It's very short-lived, but he's like, the handkerchief you gave me, he's saying, die, Hawks. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, I was happy. I had friends, and you can't take that away from me. This wasn't fake. This was still real. And remember, that's been his big thing. He was so lonely and so disturbed, he basically copied himself so he would have friends. And he actually found true friends in people like Toga, like Compress, like, he thought for a long time Hawks. And I feel that Hawks is very, I've talked about this with a lot of people. Twice is probably one of the fan favorite characters, I would like to think. Apparently he doesn't do great in popularity polls. Have no idea why. Twice is like the best character in the series. Yeah, I feel confident saying that. He's top 5 characters in the series. He's probably my personal favorite. Twice is probably my personal favorite. But the fact is, this is going to affect Hawks deeply because as he starts to dissolve, he has a speech where he's saying, I had friends, I was happy. How dare you say that, like, this was all a lie, because it wasn't. This is what I wanted. I didn't make any mistakes. This was not a mistake, right? He doesn't regret this. So he's just like, big finger to Hawks on this whole thing, because he's like, nope, you can't take this away from me. It's implied where he says, yeah, well, my real body is basically under the rubble of the concrete building. We don't know if the original body just got, like, crumpled, like, completely destroyed, like, earthquake sort of idea in, or if he's buried under the rubble, or if it was Hawks himself actually managed to get the killing blow on Twice. But it seems that, our man Gene, our man Twice, is dead. And Toga hugs him and says, thank you for saving me. She realizes what's going on. And that's it. I was happy. And that's the end of the chapter. And what a chapter. It was, Horikoshi has been doing an amazing job for about, I would say, the last 2 years. I would give it easily 2 years. Following Endeavor and Hawks was great. Following the villains this whole time has been nothing short of greatness. And this new arc has been emotionally, it's been on point. This My Hero Academia now, I know a lot of people like to say it. People say it about One Piece. People say it about a lot of long-running series. Is you just gotta get far enough. You just gotta get far enough. People use that all the time, and a lot of people say that's a poor argument. But with My Hero Academia, you do. Because if you stop short of a couple of seasons following Deku and Bakugo and honestly characters that I don't care about, then you are missing out. Because you need to go through that to appreciate the greatness of these characters. I would argue that the best characters in the series are not of the main cast. I would make that argument. I think I could make a solid argument that some of the best characters, the characters that we get emotionally attached to, the ones that impact us when we read a chapter like this, are never the main characters. It's never them. It's always someone on the side. And these side characters have made this series, for me, be that much better. I would have rated My Hero Academia as a cheap, westernized, like a superhero version of a manga. You know, Marvel and DC met up and decided to write a manga sort of idea with some manga tropes and called it a day. You know, it's Naruto 2.0. It would be very easy by reading the first 20, 30 chapters of My Hero Academia and writing it off like that. And so this is where I can honestly say that I was mistaken in my first interpretation of My Hero Academia. I kept up with it, and I am glad I did. It's not one of my favorite series. I don't think it's the best thing running right now. But chapters like this, you gotta wonder. Chapters like this, I can't see a better chapter this week. I haven't read all the chapters yet, but this was the best chapter this week. Easily, from any series. And I don't know what came out this week. Count last week too. Count last week. I haven't read a good chapter like this in a long time that got me this emotional. I mean, the One Piece chapters are always fire, but I don't even think the latest One Piece chapter had this level for me. No, I know it didn't, because Twice is one of my favorite characters, and this was a big deal. So I'm going to stop rambling. I really think that this was, I needed to make this review. I know the bar is not really the place right now with everything going on, but I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to get this out there. I read the chapter today, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a My Hero Academia review, and partially an ode to one of my favorite characters, Twice. That's why at the beginning I talked a lot about Twice, because I've never made a character discussion video about him. I've never really talked about him much, but so we know he's one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia, and impactful as his death was, I'm going to be really sorry to see him go. I hope that the series doesn't drop off for me as a result, similar to Escanor from Seven Deadly Sins dying off and basically having very little left for me to read about. So I hope that's not the case. I hope they don't retcon this. I hope Twice... It's hard to say this with a straight face, but I think it was a good, impactful idea to kill off a character like this, to kill off a fan favorite. And, you know, I hope they don't retcon it and try to bring him back or something like that, because I feel like this has been left really impactful and all that fun jazz. So, like, comment, subscribe, everyone. It's always very much appreciated. Don't expect My Hero Academia reviews as a regular thing. It's just that this chapter, I regret some chapters of Black Clover, My Hero Academia, Dr. Stone, they go by, and I'm swamped at work and stuff, and I don't make the reviews. I had the opportunity today to make a review about this chapter today. It's a great chapter. So drink responsibly as always. Don't forget to join the Discord in the box down below. We talk about My Hero Academia there sometimes. So thanks guys so much for watching. Drink responsibly. See you next time.